Loon, Josh.
Prod by Magical.
Loon, Cash. Loon, Josh. Loon. Chip on chick, get her wet, get her wild. They lean her when she smile. Them gyal like them we rub your pan time. And me nah talk money, them we make you lose your mind. Pull up your stress. Me too stubborn, me love them to death. Pull up your stress. Me too stubborn.
Yo, what's up everybody? How's everybody doing? Welcome to another Marlon Night podcast. If you don't know who I am, then you shouldn't be here. But I am Marlon, and I'm here on January 4th. Hope everybody's having a great weekend. I hope everybody's enjoying themselves. I hope nobody got to work today. You know what I mean? It's Sunday, so I'm definitely off. I don't have nothing to do. I spent let me tell you how my weekend is going. Actually, let me tell you how my weekend is going while I set all this up. So last night I literally was up all night. I probably didn't go to bed till 4 in the morning. I was up watching the entire trilogy of John Wick. I know that I didn't watch the fourth one. I just watched 1 through 3. And so that shit is crazy because I spent most of the time just watching that shit. I watched part 1, then I watched part 2, then I started watching part 3. By the end of part 3, I was like, fuck this, I'm gonna go to sleep. But I swear to God, every time I watch John Wick, I feel like I'm just seeing more and more shit that I didn't notice before. I know a lot of people probably done seen John Wick a million times, part 1, part 2, and part 3. I haven't seen part 2 as much. I seen part 2 probably one time, really, honestly and truly. I seen part 2 once. And as I'm watching part 2, there's things that I'm noticing that I didn't even notice before. You know what I'm saying? I'm noticing, things with the scene with him and Lawrence Fishburne. I'm noticing scenes with how Lawrence Fishburne was just, I don't know, it was just crazy how I'm watching this shit and I'm just yo, Lawrence Fishburne is the man. He's literally acting how he was acting in Morpheus. And I'm just looking at the scene, I'm looking at the chemistry, and I'm just laughing at shit because I'm just yo, I didn't even notice the part where he showed him the scar and how he was oh, John Wick gave me this scar. I'm damn, I didn't even notice that shit before. You know what I'm saying? And I'm listening to this shit, I'm yo, why did I even notice this shit? And then I'm you know what it is? It's probably because I haven't seen it in so long, but there's mad things that I'm just now noticing. I didn't even realize the scene where John Wick killed the dude with the pencil. I just noticed the scene that he killed the dude with the pencil. Maybe I didn't see it before. Maybe there was a part of the movie that I got up and I moved away. So, sometimes when you're watching a movie and you just get up and you move away and you come back and you're you know what I mean? You probably think you don't miss nothing, but you missed a lot. I missed a lot because I didn't notice that scene before. I don't remember him killing somebody with a pencil. You know what I'm saying? So I was watching this shit and I was just damn, yo, I just feel I see something new every time I watch John Wick. It's crazy. But yeah, so my weekend is going good. It's a real chill weekend. I ain't really doing nothing this weekend. I'm really just chilling home. You know what I mean? Having a couple of drinks by myself, just watching movies, just chilling. So I wanted to get into this today. Start off the podcast, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, hope everybody's having a real good weekend. First and foremost, give thanks. So, today, the first thing I want to start off with is I'm going to talk about some gaming stuff that's happening. So, I've been playing a lot of Clair Expedition 33. And if you don't know what that game is, then if you're in a gaming industry or if you're in the gaming world right now, then you're probably under a rock if you have no idea what that game is. But Clair Expedition 33 is an RPG that's currently right now, a really big RPG. It's it was created by this company that I'm really not too familiar with. Sandfall Interactive. It was Game of the Year. and it won a lot of awards for Game of the Year. It won like probably like most of the awards in terms of character, story, you know, almost everything, you know. So we've covered that before, but so it won a lot of awards, and it's really good. It's a really good RPG game. And Clair Expedition 33, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of a lot of Legend of Dragoon. Like, the more I'm playing it and the more I'm getting into it, the more it reminds me of Legend of Dragoon. It has like a similar system set up, you know what I'm saying? So basically, when you do like a regular attack, there's this grid that kind of like zones in, and you kind of got to match the X with how the grid is. I don't know if you ever played Legend of Dragoon before, but Legend of Dragoon was an RPG where when you attack, there would be like a grid, and you would have to line it up with the X, and then when you press it, the character would do like a move or do like a combo if you press it at the right time. So Clair Expedition 33 is pretty much similar in the same sense. It has like that same sort of like fighting style, but it's really good, and it's a really good story. It's really interesting. The graphics is amazing. It has like a lot of detail to it that is really, you know, at first when I started playing it, I really wasn't. At first when I started playing it, I was confused. I was confused mainly by the story because I felt like the story just felt weird to me. It felt like something that, it was just different, you know what I'm saying? And they took a risk with that story. They took a very big risk, and it paid off in the end because it really is like a different kind of, you know, storyline. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, basically it deals with like years into the future. It's like mankind is dealing with a disaster, and you have like these survivors of whatever happened, and they're like going into, you know, the world, trying to find like, you know, things from the past, trying to make things better for the future, members of the new world. So it's really interesting the way it is. I don't want to get too much into the story, but if you haven't played Clair Expedition 33, you should definitely give it a try because it really is an interesting storyline. It really has a lot of depth to it. So the reason I'm bringing up Clair Expedition 33 is because there's a gamer right now, and I'm gonna tell you exactly what's going on with this. So there's a Reddit user named Record Break, right? And he basically has done something in Clair Expedition 33 that is very unique. So he basically beat a very difficult boss that isn't really the easiest. I mean, the boss is easy if you have a great build for your characters. So if your characters have a really good build, if your level is really high with these characters, then the boss isn't too difficult. Well, this guy, he didn't really have the greatest build for his characters, but he still beat the boss. And it's like an optional boss that you get to fight. You could fight if you want it. You don't want to fight him, you don't have to. But if you fight him and you beat him, then, you know, good for you. So it's like two bosses at once, and it's called Dualistis boss. And Record Break basically achieved the remarkable task of beating this boss. He spent 8 hours fighting this boss. 8 hours fighting this boss. And in Clair Expedition 33, you have an option where you can dodge, you can jump, or you can parry. Record Break has, you know, parrying is not that easy, but it gets pretty easier once you like get used to it and once you keep doing it. So Record Breaks actually was able to parry this boss, and he did it 10,545 times without any dodges. He didn't dodge once. He just parried every attack from this boss. And this was very, very demanding and interesting of him to do. I mean, I feel like there's some gamers out there that just spend their time playing a game that they love and they try to be very good at it. Like, we've all known people like, you know, like Justin Wong, who plays fighting games. You know, he plays Marvel vs. Capcom 2. You know, there's some people that play Smash Brothers, like what's that guy? Hungry Box. You know, Hungry Box, he plays Smash Brothers. There's some people that play games to the life of them. You know what I'm saying? They know life these video games. Like, you know, these guys know life these video games. So this guy spent a lot of time playing Clair Expedition 33 and literally spent 8 hours trying to beat this one boss and parried over 10,000 times. Like, and I find that amazing because it's hard for me to parry a boss in one match consecutively. And I felt like for him to do that just meant like he was just determined to prove a point. Because I'm not sure if there's even like a trophy that you win for doing this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think you get a trophy for that. I'm not sure. I could be wrong. You know, and I think this is part of the DLC. I'm not sure if this is part of the main game. It looks like it might be part of the DLC, but it's one of the hardest bosses to fight in the game. And he spent 8 hours parrying this guy. And I'm just like, if I have to spend a whole day, basically spend a normal work shift to beat a boss, then I'm like, I should be getting paid for it. You know what I'm saying? Like fuck that. If I'm gonna spend all that time, 8 hours trying to fight a boss, I should be getting paid for it. I'm wondering if he did this straight through, like if there were no breaks. Like, did you take a break? Did you have a bathroom break? Did you eat something? Like, I would like to know his story, you know, and I would like to know exactly like if he really like just didn't take any pauses or nothing, just like beat the boss straight through, because that's a lot of time to spend trying to fight one boss for, you know, just to prove a point. You know what I'm saying? Just because you want to. I'm not saying you don't have to. It's you spend your money on your game, you can do whatever you want. It's your game. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just like, man, what are the, you know, what is the stipulations? Like, why do something like that? First of all, if he would have spent a little bit more time like leveling up his characters, it wouldn't have took him as long. I think his characters weren't even like a full build. Like, he didn't really have like, his main characters, or the characters he was using, he didn't really have like the highest level for these characters. So that's one of the reasons why it took him so long. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. There's an article on it that says that I think everyone died in the fight was doing. So he was dealing a lot of damage. Well, his highest damage, it looks like, was like 200,000. But in a game like Clair Expedition 33, 200,000 is like really not that much when you got, you know, characters that can, when you got, you know, characters that could literally damage you in the millions. Like, this is one of those games that you can break the level 99 barrier. Like, I know if you played RPGs, 9900, if I'm not mistaken, is like 9,999 is like the highest damage scaling you can do on a boss in most RPGs. Well, in Clair Expedition 33, if you actually level up your characters to a certain point, you can break millions. You know what I'm saying? I think even, you know, a billion, if I'm not mistaken. I think there's some characters that could go even a billion. I don't like the way this game is set up is so crazy because they literally go beyond what normal damage scaling, you know, is in this game. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm really big on like games like Final Fantasy where like the highest damage you could go is 9,999. In this game, you can pass that. You can go beyond that. You can go to millions. Like, you could damage something in the millions. So it's just crazy, like, you know, how they do this. And, you know, I'm looking at some people. Some people is like, you know, it's hard. It would be hard for them to do something like that. You know, people got kids, people got jobs, people got things they got to do. Like, you know, there's no way that anybody could spend 8 hours just straight through trying to beat this boss. I mean, that's just ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, shout outs to Record Break, man, for actually achieving that, because I know that wasn't easy. I know it must have been sweaty, and I know he probably really wanted to like do this, and, you know, it's a self-satisfaction thing. It really doesn't give you anything. I don't think, like I said, I don't even think you get a trophy for this. I think this is just a self-satisfaction thing. He just wanted to be somebody who did that and could gloat and brag about it. I mean, his name on Reddit is Record Break, so if you want to look him up, you can. But, you know, shout outs to him, because Clair Expedition is not an easy game at all. Especially, like, if you're, like, not good or great at parrying. I'm terrible at parrying, but by mid of playing this game, I haven't beat it yet. I'm still playing it. Like, I'm probably going to play it after this podcast. I'm not going to lie to you. But I'm I'm mid at parrying, but while playing this game, I'm getting a little bit more decent at it, because it demands parrying. You have to be able to do the shit, because if you can't, you're gonna die, you know what I'm saying? So you really have to be able to parry in Clair Expedition 33. So, bravo to him, man, and shout outs to Record Break for that, because that's an amazing achievement, you know what I'm saying? And if Record Break, if you do see this podcast, I would love to know like your whole mindset into going into this and what you was thinking about doing something like this, because that is just crazy. That's amazing, and I want to fight. I actually want to fight that boss. Like I want to try fighting him, and if I fight him, I'm probably not gonna be able to do what you did. But that's something that I would definitely love to see. If you save that video, I would like to at least watch some of it to see how that shit is, because that must have been difficult. I'm not gonna lie. And like I said, to do that for 8 hours, crazy. The finger, the memory, the muscle memory must have been ridiculous in that game. So moving on from that, the next thing I want to talk about is Stranger Things. And if you have been watching Stranger Things like I have for the past decade or so, then Stranger Things has come down to its final season. Season 5, and we are finally at the end of Stranger Things. Stranger Things has ended after its long time running on Netflix. Excuse me. So Stranger Things has been running after its long time on Netflix. And it finally came to a close. We have the cast: Millie Bobby Brown, Winona Ryder, Natalia Dyer, David Harbour, Finn Wolfhard. It's a really good cast of kids. These kids have been doing Stranger Things since 2016, July 15th. So July 15, 2016. So obviously that was a while ago. 2016. So 10 years, give or take, right? And it's been a while. Like, I've been watching Stranger Things since it first came out. I remember the day I was introduced to Stranger Things. I was hanging out with my friends, and we were hanging out, we were chilling, just vibing like a couple of knucklehead niggas and shit. And my boy was actually the first one to introduce me to Stranger Things, because he was watching Stranger Things, and he was just like, yo, you watch this show called Stranger Things. And I was like, nah, I don't know what that is. So he put me onto it, and when I first got introduced to it, I was like, okay, this looks interesting, and I started watching it, and from then I was just hooked. I was just hooked in to the show. And I have been watching it faithfully every season that it came out. Stranger Things usually takes like a couple years, maybe like a year or two, and then it will drop a new season. So we just hit season 5, which was broken up into 2 parts. They dropped the first half of it, and then they dropped the second half like right after. So the first season, the fifth season was released in 3 parts, right? So the first 2 parts were November and December, and then the final part was just on New Year's, right? So the final part was just on New Year's, and the first 2 parts, I believe, dropped on November and December. And when they dropped the first 2 parts, it was cool. I mean, I feel like it wasn't bad. Like we really enjoyed the first 2 parts. I feel like a lot of people had a lot of complaining as far as like the second part, because of there was a lot of like woke aspects to what happened in the second part. The first part of season 5 was really good. You know what I'm saying? If you watch Stranger Things, then like these kids, they play like D&D, they play Dungeons and Dragons, and they're living in like a real life kind of like RPG simulator, basically. So this dark force basically comes and tries to control the kids. He tries to, merge his world into their world and take it over. You know, so a bunch of people, you know, didn't make it in the season. Well, not a lot, but you had like maybe 1, 2, or 3 people that didn't make it. Sub characters, side characters that didn't make it. And the kids, you know, we basically watched them grow throughout all these years, you know, and I really enjoyed the entirety of Stranger Things. Like from season 1 to season 5, I think it's one of the greatest shows I've ever watched. I think that it has some of the greatest storytelling I've ever seen. I think that, you know, with the exception of some plot holes, yes, you do have some exceptions where there are some situations that you can't explain, some situations that you would like the Duffer brothers, who actually the Duffer or Duffer, whatever, Matt Duffer and Ross Duffer. I hope I'm pronouncing their names right. It might be Duffer, I don't know. But the Duffer brothers, they're the ones who actually created the show, and it has like a great like 19 kind of 80s kind of feel to it, and it really sets the tone for the show. So this show takes place supposedly in a small town in Indiana called Hawkins. You know, these kids, they meet this young girl, they name her 11, and 11 has these powers, you know. So as they continue with the show, you know, 11 is being hunted by the government agency, which is trying to use her powers to create more kids like her that has these telekinetic powers. And, you know, all the while that's happening, they also have this evil entity that, you know, was also created before 11, which is how she was created, basically. And he is basically trying to, you could just say, sum it up, destroy the world. So, you know, Stranger Things is really sci-fi, it's drama, it's, you know, action. It has a lot of things about it that's just very interesting. The mother, who is Joyce, she's played by Winona Ryder. And it's really great how they did that show. And I don't really think I've ever seen a show like Stranger Things. I don't think it was a show like Stranger Things. It kind of reminded me of that one movie. There's a movie that had came out that was like Stranger Things, and if I could find the name for it, it's on the tip of my tongue, but I forgot what it was called. Let me see. There's a movie that is similar to Stranger Things, but I can't think of the name of it right now. If I get the name of it, I'll definitely let you guys know. I forgot what it's called, but it's on the tip of my tongue. And so basically, like I said, these kids, you know, let me see. It's set in like the 80s, and it's just really like crazy how it is. It's like kind of like an E.T. kind of thing, right? Like has like E.T. vibes to it, you know what I'm saying? And it's a really good show, you know. Like if you haven't watched it, I would definitely recommend to check it out, because it really is a great show. It ended really well. A lot of people have a bunch of complaints about it. You know, some people feel like the ending was overwhelming. Some people feel like, you know, if like the boss, the last guy who they fought in it, his name is Vecna. A lot of people feel like, well, you know, the final scene kind of like was underwhelming. You know, it really didn't take them that long to kill him, and they felt like they could have done that easily before. But, you know, I disagree. I feel like, you know, it really did what it was supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, but people are gonna complain about things regardless. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are gonna complain about things no matter what you do. They're always gonna find like some kind of thing, a plot hole or something to complain about. You know, people aren't never really satisfied, and the truth of the matter is, you really can't satisfy everybody. You know what I'm saying? You really can't. Like, it's hard to satisfy people, because they're always gonna look at things and they're always gonna be like, you know, I see people like, oh, we waited so long for this, you know, just to be like so easy. Like the fight basically lasted probably maybe like 10 minutes. And the last episode was like 2 hours long, and plus, by the time they was done killing Vecna, the show had like probably like a whole nother 45, maybe to an hour before it was done. And we're like, you know what I'm saying? Like you still, there's still so much within the show after they already killed Vecna. But the thing that I love about Stranger Things is, even though that happened, it was still entertaining towards the end, because now you get to see, you know, the kids after the fact, you know, how they're living lives, what's going on. And even though it seemed like the fight didn't last that long, there was still so much development with the characters, and that's what makes Stranger Things great. It's not just about like the action all the time. It's really just about the character development and how these characters, you know, grow, and like how they interact with each other. You know, the dialogue, how they talk, how they, you know, how their relationships progress within this show. You know, and that's what makes Stranger Things as good as it is. You know what I'm saying? And I think that the Duffer Brothers, and once again, if I'm saying these guys' names wrong, just let me know. I'm sorry about that. But I feel like they're always, you know, they have done a great job just bringing this world to life, and they have done a great job just keeping us engaged with these characters. And I love, you know, what they've done with the seasons throughout the year. You know, I feel like they've done an amazing job, you know, and I feel like, you know, they couldn't have done it any better. You know, the movie I was referring to earlier was called Super 8. So Super 8 was also a pretty interesting movie. It kind of reminded me of Stranger Things a lot. Super 8 was definitely like a Stranger Things type movie. So if you watch Stranger Things and you watch Super 8, you'll see like the relevance and the similarities to those two. But, you know, shout outs to them for, you know, the Duffer Brothers, for, you know, their successful run of Stranger Things. I think they had a great successful run. I heard we're getting a spin-off to that, and it should be great. You know what I mean? I have really no complaints about Stranger Things, and I'm sad. I'm kind of sad that it is over. You know, especially after spending all this time like watching it for all these years, and like growing with these, you know, characters, and like just getting involved into the story for this whole entire time. You know, it really does like touch me now that, you know, it's over. You know, like it, because when you know there's a new season coming out, it's like you look forward to it, and you're like, damn, I can't wait for this new season to come out. You prepare yourself for it. You go back, you watch the old seasons, you mentally get yourself right. You try to recap everything that happened before, and it's like now there's really nothing to look forward to except for like maybe a couple spin-offs. You know, who knows what the kids are going to be doing after the fact. You know, maybe they'll do some other projects towards, you know, going down the line. But that's it for Stranger Things, man. But I think they had a great run. I think they did a great job with this show. You know, it's one of the greatest shows I've ever watched. You know, I don't think I've ever watched a show that's been so consistent in, you know, in its run and how great it's been. We got new shows that came out like Wednesday now that, you know, a lot of people look forward to. We got Welcome to Derry now, that's also pretty good. So, I mean, those are the new shows that people are getting into now, but I still don't think even those shows, as much as people try to compare Welcome to Derry to Stranger Things, I don't think it's going to have the same success as Stranger Things. Who knows? I will see. I mean, how often can Pennywise come back? You know what I'm saying? But I feel like, you know, they've had a great time. They had a great run, and it was just a really, really great show. You know, and it is gonna be a missed. But I'm grown now, you know, and I grew up with this show, you know what I'm saying? So it was really something to watch, something special. It was a time to be had, you know. If you was around watching Stranger Things from 2016 to now, you definitely understand how some of us feel now that it's over. It's like so much to talk about, you know what I'm saying? But I think this season was great. I think it was a great season. I think that aside from maybe a couple like things at the end where we can sit down and discuss and dissect and really like try to figure out, okay, why didn't this happen? Aside from all of that, I don't want to be that guy to complain about something like that. You know, I just want to enjoy what, you know, the Duffer Brothers put out, and just really kind of like just soak it in and just say, you know, well, it has been a great season, great show, great everything. So shout outs to them for that, man. Stranger Things will definitely be missed. I definitely might go back and watch it all over again from season 1 just to like recap and like reminisce on everything, because it's one of those shows that as long as Netflix has it on there, which I don't think Netflix is going to take Stranger Things off anytime at any point, because that'd be crazy. But as long as Stranger Things is on Netflix, I feel like people are going to go back and watch from season 1 to season 5, you know, whenever they get a chance. Whenever they have the opportunity to do so, I feel like people will do so. So shout outs to the Duffer Brothers, man, for that. So the next thing happening that I want to talk about is Offset. Cardi's husband, because I don't think they've been divorced yet. I think Cardi B and Offset is actually still married. I don't think the divorce has gone through yet. But Cardi B and Offset, well, let me not mention Cardi B. Let me just say Offset. Offset has been allegedly slipping, you know what I mean, lately, caught slipping lately. But then again, I don't know if he's really caught slipping. I don't feel like this is called caught slipping, because I mean, I don't think Cardi B cares. You know, he was recently on a video, he got videotaped sleeping in bed with a model named Celina Powell. Celina Powell is like, I guess she's like a OnlyFans model, or, you know, a Instagram, a model and influencer, you know. And she posted this video on January 2nd with her in bed and Offset is in bed, knocked the fuck out. Offset is in bed looking like he just got put through a roller coaster. Looking like Offset is in bed looking like he looks like he just went through a fucking 3-hour, 4-hour movie. Like, he's knocked the fuck out. He looked like he had a party last night. He's just gone. Like, like she literally got her leg wrapped around him type shit. You know what I mean? He's out like a light. So she uploaded the video with her and him in bed, and he's like knocked out, and she's like, oh, you know, we made a tape last night, you know, and all you heard was him. You know what I'm saying? Offset, you sleepy boy. That's what she posts on her Instagram. And then she posts the picture of him just knocked the fuck out. You know, let me go into like, let me see if I could go into the comments. So some people in the comments were like, oh, you're starting the year off right. This is one of those things that I feel like, did she post this on her Instagram? No, so, alright, yeah, she posted it on her Instagram. So this is actually posted on her Instagram. And I don't think that this is something that she's going to delete off her Instagram. I think, you know those situations where I feel like this is what the issue is, right? I feel like these are models that they kind of want they want Cardi B to see that they have Offset in bed. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it looks like to me. It's kind of like, oh, you know, I got your husband in bed with me, blah, 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 blah type shit. Because all the while I'm looking at this and I'm like, would you be posting Offset in your bed if he wasn't married to Cardi B? Because most people, when they like do anything with a celebrity, you almost never find out about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you almost never find out about it. You never really know about who's sleeping with who until like after the fact. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like for her, posting Offset in bed with her, it's almost like she's trying to let Cardi B know that this is going on for some strange reason. And I don't think Cardi B cares at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think Cardi B gives a fuck that what Offset is doing. I don't think she cares. I think, she would have cared before. You know what I'm saying? I think that before it would have been a problem, but now that now that they're on the verge of basically getting a whole divorce and everything, and Cardi B is already with her new boo, I don't feel like Cardi B really gives a damn who Offset is in bed with at this point. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like her doing that is kind of just like telling that she's just trying to stir up some drama with Cardi B. And I just don't think Cardi B cares. You know? I don't think she gives a damn. I don't think she cares. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not like she posted Offset in bed with her in her stories, right? She posted Offset in bed with her in her actual, like, feed. You know what I'm saying? So, who knows how long she's planning on keeping that up for? But my whole thing is like, I just don't see the point in that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're messing around with him, or if you're doing something with him on the side or whatever, like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, Celina Powell is one of those models where, you know, from what I've heard, she, like, messes with a lot of, like, famous celebrities. You know what I'm saying? She messes with a lot of famous celebrities. You know, the post that she posted with Offset already has 1.9 million likes. You know what I'm saying? She messes with, like, a bunch of celebrities. She's, like, been ran through, for better use of the term. You know what I'm saying? Apparently Academics was messing with her at some point. You know? Like, apparently that's Academics' old boo. You know? And it's just crazy. Like, Academics was even in the comments like, wait, what? You know, like, what the fuck is going on? Like, Offset? But I mean, you know, if you're someone like Celina Powell whose main objective is to, you know, get a bag, main objective is to, you know, mess with famous celebrity guys and just, you know, be put on that way. Like, you have some people that they don't care. They don't give a fuck if their image is that girl who is being ran through by famous men in the industry. They don't give a fuck. Because they know that they can get what they want from these guys. They know they can get money. They know you know, right after she posted the video with Offset, she posted videos in her feed and her story. In her story that she was at a concert. You know, she was at like some concert with, like, you know, a bunch of different artists, I believe, that was singing, that was on performing and shit. You know what I'm saying? I think I seen like a bunch of artists, you know what I mean? Like Rod Wave was there or some shit like that. So, you know, she's one of those people who don't care who she sleeps with as long as it's gonna benefit her. She don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, she don't care. You know what I'm saying? And you know, she obviously is like one of those girls who, like, she's involved in like everything. You know what I'm saying? She tries to be involved in everything. You know? And she's fire. I'll give her that. Like, Celina Powell, you know, she looks good. I didn't know who this girl was until, like, the whole situation with her and Offset. I had no idea who she was. And as soon as I saw her, I followed her immediately. Because I was like, you know, if she was somebody who I was just like, oh, why Offset fucking with that? But nah, she fire. She look good. I give her that. I'm surprised that she fuck with Academics. I'm surprised she fuck with that nigga. Know what I'm saying? Cause I mean, you know, she definitely, you know, looks like a baddie. So, but Offset doesn't care, and neither does Cardi B. I mean, they shouldn't care. You know what I'm saying? Who they messing with? I feel like Offset did things differently than Cardi B, though. I feel like Offset is doing things in a sense where he's not trying to move on to a relationship. He's just trying to have his fun. He's trying to mess around, cause that's what Offset wanted to do to begin with. You know what I'm saying? Offset shouldn't have never got married. Offset should have never got married. Offset should have never got married. He should have never did all that shit. He probably just wanted to, you know, get married and have kids with the newest, baddest thing out, which was Cardi B. But the reality of it is Offset should have never got married. He wasn't ready for that life. He wasn't ready for that life. You know, Offset should have just been, you know, a fly young nigga, you know what I'm saying? And just did his, did his thing. You know what I'm saying? Because Offset getting married, I feel like that was just a wrong decision. Because now he got married, he has kids, and from what I heard, he's barely with them kids. He's out here messing with a bunch of girls, doing his thing. Cardi B, she's trying to move on to a whole new relationship, which I also think was the wrong move. I also feel like she should have gave herself some time to heal, been single for a while, heal, and then, before just jumping into a new relationship, trying to have a new baby, trying to start a new life, she should have just gave herself a chance to heal and dealt with the kids that she already had, because now it's like you got all these kids you got to deal with, you got a new man you got to deal with, and he's coming with a whole bunch of new drama. He's like Offset 2.0. You know what I'm saying? He's like Offset on some fucking crazy wave. Like, he's like the new advanced version of Offset. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's no different. From what I'm seeing, he's no better. He's worse. You know what I mean? And I would just feel like if I was Cardi B, like, she just needs to kind of like focus on herself. You know what I'm saying? Because you focusing on a new relationship, Offset is not doing that. Offset right now is not focused on a relationship. He's primarily focused on just having fun, doing his thing, which still, you should be a dad, you got kids. If I was Offset, I would be mainly focused on my children. That would be my main focus. Focus on building my career back without a Cardi B behind it, and focus on raising your kids. But, celebrities, that's what they want to do. That's their thing. So, I wish them both the best. Hopefully they get this divorce finalized at some point, because I feel like this shit is just kind of like draining for both of them, and I'm not even in it, but I just feel like it's draining, and it's something where I would just hope to see them eventually get their shit together and not have to continue going down this road, being tied amongst each other, because at the end of the day, they're still married. So it just looks messy the way they're handling the situation. It looks like some messy shit. These people are married. They still have their, marriage title. It hasn't been annulled yet. So it's just a messy situation, and, you can't blame Offset for what he's doing. You can't blame Cardi for what she's doing, because it's their life at the end of the day. You could just look at it and say, I just feel like they should, at least in Cardi B's sense, I would feel like she should slow down and focus on herself. Offset, you should focus on getting your career up and also raising your children. But that's just me. So, all right. So moving on from that, we got Trax. Trax, New York City. Yo, Trax, shout outs to Trax, New York City, man. Trax Jewelry and Diamonds, New York City. So basically, Trax is a jewel diamond New York City distributor out in New York City. And he basically had an altercation with Akay Diamonds because they were apparently selling fraudulent, well, not fraudulent, but they were apparently selling jewelry to customers and doing it under his name. So they were like pretending that they were in league with Trax New York City and selling like their product to customers. They were overcharging people for stones that weren't worth the amount that they were charging for, and they were also like using his name. So basically what happened now is he went and pulled up on them, and they got in this big dispute. You know what I mean? If you haven't watched the video on Instagram, he basically ran up on these guys and he was just demanding them to pay him the money that they owe him, because Trax right now has over 3 million followers on Instagram.
Where's my money? I got this
and Akay Diamond is run by George and Freddie they're brothers, George and Freddie AK, and they operate under the same commercial area as they operate under the same commercial area as Trax NYC. So the guy's name, Trax's name is Akay Diamonds, and he publicly accused Akay Diamond of selling jewelry that allegedly misrepresented him, including the claims that items marketed were under Trax New York City. So he uploaded this on the 1st of January. So this was like right after New Year's. He went up in the store, started banging on the desk like, yo, you know, you guys owe me money. You're ripping off customers. They sold a customer a bracelet, and they claimed that it was like 14 carats, when it really in reality was like a 9 carat or less than that. And you know, they charged this customer all this money, so I think they owed the customer like $2,000 because they overcharged them for the bracelet. And that shit was a whole big thing. You know, they had a whole fight within, like, it's one of those. So I think the store Akay Diamonds is like a booth setup within like a mall area. So it's not like its own location, but it's like a booth set up within a mall area. So you go into the mall area, and then Akay Diamonds is in there, and you know, they're selling people these diamonds, and they're selling people stuff, and apparently they're like ripping people off. It looks like New York City police actually got involved at some point, and there's footage of arrest for the guy who actually got into the fight from Akay Diamonds with Trax. So let me see. What is confirmed is that a physical altercation took place. Police responded and arrests were made. Video footage of the confrontation were subsequently circulated widely online. Claims of fraud, misrepresentation, or brand misuse remain unproven. But obviously that was what was going on. They arrested the guy from Akay Diamonds who actually spat in Trax's face. There's footage on that, and that shit was fucking crazy. Like, you know, if you know you're guilty of some shit, you know what I'm saying? The fact that they even got into that fight should have never happened. You know what I mean? Like, you're guilty of using this man. It's on the receipt. He had the receipt. He literally pulled up and showed the receipt and said that, and showed that there was claims made under his name. You know what I'm saying? They spat in Trax's face. They literally spat in this dude's face. You know what I'm saying? And in Akay Johnny's face. You know? And that's like the most disrespectful shit you could do. You know what I'm saying? Like, a man spitting in another man's face is like the most disrespectful shit you can do. I'm sorry, but if you spit in my face, it's like, you know, it's crazy the world we live in, because, you know, I don't know the laws of what would happen. Like, what would happen if somebody spat in your face and you decided to take it a step further and like unalive this person? Because that's the only thing I could see happening from that. Like, if somebody spit in your face, that's almost like equivalent to a death threat. You know what I'm saying? Because that's disrespectful. You know what I mean? You're taking things a step further to where now my actions after that can be hostile. You know what I'm saying? And if I'm hostile to you, and you're the one who initiated this by doing what you did, you know, you should be the one held accountable for starting with me in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you spit in my face and I take it a step further and I put my hands around your neck, and you should be the one, you know what I'm saying? You should, you know what I mean, be held accountable for your actions. You know what I mean? Don't spit in my face and think that you're not going to deal with something after that. Don't spit in my face and think that there's not going to be consequences and repercussions. You know what I'm saying? Like, Trax got in a fight with these guys. They grabbed him by his chain around his neck. You could see like red marks around his neck showing that they tried to strangle him with his own chain. You know, he posted a bunch of videos saying that they tried to kill him. You know, but the thing about it is that these guys are guilty of doing fraudulent, you know, committing fraud. Like they're doing fraudulent sales. They're selling people things that, and you know, obviously I feel like this happens a lot. You know what I mean? Like this happens a lot within, especially like if you're doing jewelry. I'm pretty sure a lot of jewelry makers out there or guys that sell jewelry that are overcharging in prices. And because we are the consumer and a lot of people, it's not like people go home with the fucking, you know, the device that, you know, tells you exactly how much something is or what this diamond is worth or how if this diamond is 14 karat or not. Not everybody goes home and does that. Like people don't do that. So people trust that when they're buying something, it is what they say it is. Like if the guy is telling you it's 14 carats, you're gonna trust that it's 14 carats. You're not gonna go home and now, you know what I'm saying? Maybe some people do. You know, I'm not talking about like the liberals or the people who actually live in places that they're, you know, doing shit like that or who have the device to actually check to see if the diamond is real diamonds. But most people, the average consumer is not going into a store buying a bracelet or buying a chain and then going home and checking to see if it's 14 karat or not. We are trusting that these, you know, businesses are selling us something and it's legit and this legitimately is what it is. So the fact that, you know, they're ripping these people off and selling people fraudulent stones, it really is a fucked up situation because you're you know, abusing the trust of the consumer. You know what I'm saying? And it really is fucked up. I believe that Trax did get the customer back the money that was owed to him. I think he was owed like $2,000. I believe Trax was able to get that money back to him. So that was good that at least the customer got back the money that he was owed. I'm not sure if Trax got paid his money. I'm pretty sure that right now he's probably looking for a lawyer to sue the living pants off these guys. You know what I'm saying? And he's most likely gonna win that, you know. So, you know, but one thing I will say is shout outs to Trax for actually, you know, standing on business because he definitely did that. he definitely stood on business. And if you ask him, this is water, just to let y'all know, it's not vodka. It's 11 in the morning. I ain't drinking vodka. I'm drinking water. So, but Trax stood on business. You know what I'm saying? He ran up in there with all the smoke. Like he dead ass ran up in there. Like, yo, with my fucking money. You know what I'm saying? And he went up in there and told him like, yo, give me my fucking money right now. AKA, I'm from New York. I don't give a damn, mister. I don't give a fuck. I'm with all the shit. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't mad at him, yo. Because, yo, right now times is hard. We in a recession. Like, shit is rough out here. You can't be doing shit just willy-nilly out here. Like, people don't play, especially in New York. This nigga from New York. Know what I'm saying? Like, you're not about to rip off a guy in New York, especially one of these. I think this guy's like Muslim or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not about to rip these niggas off. like, let's be honest. I think the guys from Akay Diamond, the people who run Akay Diamond, the two brothers, they look more like Albanian or some shit. Whereas I think Trax is like Muslim or something. So it's like you're not about to rip these people off. These people are serious about their money. Like when he showed the receipt from Akay Diamonds, Akay Diamond is over there in New York. It's over there by like 47th Street and everything. I guess, like I said, it's within some mall. But on the receipt, you know, you could see that they're claiming that it's, you know, white gold. You know, it's like 14 karat.
So this is the receipt from this disgusting company that pretends to be me, says they're Trax MIC, sells my customer a bracelet, rips him off, and rips him off on the gold. Shit, they're saying it's 14 karat.
Yeah, so they're basically saying it's 14 karat when it's not, you know what I'm saying? And it's just, like I said, it's just crazy, man, because, like I said, you can't do that to customers thinking that you're going to get away with it, you know what I mean? And, it's just, you know, the customer said that when he went up to them, you know, they basically, you know, claimed that they were in league with Trax NYC, which, you know, it's just crazy. You know what I mean? Like, you pretending to be another another, business operating under someone else, I don't see why you would do something like that and expect that the guy's not gonna find out, But shout outs to Trax, man, for standing on that shit, man, doing his thing, man. He really, you can't let people walk all over you in this life. You can't let people get away with the shit that they try to get away with, because at the end of the day, that's the only way. You gotta stand on what you believe in. You gotta represent your business. And he definitely did his thing, man. And I hope he gets a really good lawyer to sue the fucking pants off these bastards, because that shit is fucking crazy. But he ran up in there like Stewie on some shit. Like, y'all remember when Stewie went up on Brian like, yo, where my money, man? Where my money? Where my money, man? And he started beating him and had the flamethrower and all that shit. That's literally what Trax was on. He was on that shit like, where my money, man? Where my money? Where my money, man? Beating. He was wilding on that nigga, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? But I hope that he gets, what he's owed and everything. So shout outs to Trax, man. So the last thing that I want to talk about before I get out of here. So we have the story of Trump news. We're diving into Trump news. And Trump has taken the Venezuela president Maduro and his wife out of Venezuela. And this has been like crazy, man. Like this is, so alright. It seems like so on this has been crazy because New Year's just started and already, there's been a large-scale attack on Venezuela from America. There was no congressional authorization for Trump to actually go into Venezuela and strike Venezuela. But the goal there was obviously to remove Maduro out of power. That was the goal. His goal was to go into Venezuela, remove Maduro, and the wife. So he took Maduro out of Venezuela. The people of Venezuela. So when I woke up the January 3rd yesterday. I woke up and there were a bunch of like news reports. There were, people were going crazy. People in Venezuela were cheering, and all I'm seeing on my feed is people cheering and being happy because Maduro was taken out of power. Apparently, Maduro has been running the country by force. The people weren't free there. He was running the country with Trump believes that he's drug trafficking, and he is, running the country with drugs, and they basically call him a narco-terrorist. So he's one of those people that he's running the country through terrorism and drug trafficking and by force. If you're one of those people who didn't approve of him being in presidency, or you protested against Maduro being in presidency, you would get locked up or even murdered. So the people of Venezuela were not happy of him being in power. He was not even supposed to be president for as long as he's been president, but he's one of those presidents who's basically saying, I'm not fucking leaving. You know what I'm saying? He's on that shit. Like, he's on that shit where he's just like, I'm not fucking leaving, I'm staying. I don't care if you agree with my ideals or not. I don't care if you agree with how I'm running the country or not. I'm not leaving. You're gonna have to deal with me, whether you like it or not. So, Trump flew into Venezuela and took him out of Venezuela. What's crazy to me is all the reports that I've been seeing, right? Because they literally had this photo of Maduro being taken in custody, and they had him in like a Nike Tech suit. They had him in like Nike Techs, you know what I'm saying? And they had him like, and apparently Nike's brand and stock is actually going up since then. Like since they showed the picture of Maduro in Nike Tech, they actually like had hit the stock for Nikes is actually going up since then. You know what I mean? You know, where you would think like quarter zip was running things. Well, the quarter zip fad kind of like didn't last as long as I thought it was. You know what I'm saying? I feel like they tried to like have a run, but then, you know, it didn't last as long as it should have. And as soon as they showed Maduro in the Nike tech suit, it was like over. It was like Nikes just went up from there. So Trump went into Venezuela. Let me see if I could see what they're saying about the reports. Apparently they're saying that Maduro and his wife are being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn and will face federal charges related to drug trafficking and working with gangs, designated as terrorist organization, which Maduro denies. And, you know, Trump is also basically saying that, you know, America plans to run Venezuela temporarily until there's a new transfer of power. A lot of people are saying that Trump only went into Venezuela for oil. I've been seeing like the memes on that. They had the little Dave Chappelle meme that was being shown where they was asking Dave Chappelle, where he was like acting as the president, and it was like, I heard you're only interested in the Middle East for oil. He was like, oil? You talking about oil, bitch, we cooking? And then, you know, they got it from ran. Well, the same thing with Trump here is like, they're trying to say that Trump is only interested in Venezuela because of the oil, and he's trying to take over the oil. My thing is that, you know, and I said this before, I was saying it earlier, I was like, you know, a lot of people, the thing that was so confusing to me is that when I saw the reports, everybody in, like the people in America, the Democrats and people in America were against this, and they were complaining, and they were saying like, oh, you know, Trump illegally went into Venezuela. You can't just illegally go into, you know, a country and start a war, and, you know, you kidnap their president and all these things. They're saying that this is wrong. You know, people are losing their lives and everything. And I just looked at it and I said, you know, the people in America are so upset about this, but then the people in Venezuela are cheering about this. So it was confusing because I'm like, why are we, you know, mad, but then they're not? You know what I'm saying? I just feel like America just need to mind their motherfucking business. I feel like we need to mind our motherfucking business. You know what I'm saying? In this particular situation. Because my problem is that I feel like as Americans, we are not convinced, or we're not conscious to what we really want a president to be like. You know, when we had Biden, we had a president that wasn't really showing the kind of strength that we needed as presidency. We had years of, you know, we had years of Biden being just quiet, and there was people that wasn't even aware of what Biden was doing or Kamala Harris was doing during the term of presidency. But Trump being president, we're actually witnessing everything that's happening while he's, you know, in his presidency. All the Democrats are complaining. You know, all the Democrats are against this. You know, I've heard Kamala speak more now that Trump is in office than I've ever heard her speak when he wasn't in office. You know what I'm saying? I think she actually even posted recently about this whole situation. Like, if I could find her, if I could find what she said, I'll also put it up here. Let me see. Kamala Harris. So yeah, she posted on Twitter, and she said, Donald Trump's actions in Venezuela do not make America safer, stronger, or more affordable. That Maduro is a brutal, illegitimate dictator So even she's admitting that Maduro is a brutal, illegitimate dictator, and he's running the country wrong. But she continues and says, does not change the fact that this action was both unlawful and unwise. We've seen this movie before. Wars for regime, change or oil that are sold as strength but turn into chaos, and American families pay the price. The American people do not want this, and they are tired of being lied to. This is not about drugs or democracy. It is about oil, and Donald Trump desires to play with regional strongmen. If he cared about either, he wouldn't pardon a convicted drug trafficker or sideline Venezuela's legitimate opposition while... And that it looks like that's the end of the tweet, unless I'm missing something. Oh wait, is there more? Let me see. Maduro. I see like a bunch of different like tweets about this. Hold on, let me see if I could find this. Okay, so this is, he cared about either pardon a convicted drug trafficker or sideline Venezuela's legitimate opposition while pursuing deals with Maduro's cronies. The president is putting troops at risk, spending billions, destabilizing a region, and offering no legal authority, no exit plan, and no benefit at home. America needs leadership whose priorities are lowering costs for working families, enforcing the rule of law, strengthening alliances, and most importantly, putting the American people first. And my thing about it is, I just feel like, again, Kamala Harris, I've been seeing more from Kamala Harris now than I've seen when Biden was president. I'll be honest with you. And that's a fact. Like, she's talking now more than she's ever spoken out before. You know what I'm saying? And it's just sad because it's like, you know, I feel like America is on the fence of, they want a president to be able to restore American peace. They want alliances to be made. They want to put the American people first, granted. But at the same time, they don't want a president that's weak or soft. They don't want a president that's gonna back down. You have, you know, you can't have it in between. You got to be able to know how to put the American people first. You also got to be able to know how to show strength. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the only thing these countries respect. I'll be honest with you. I feel like even though, you know, Donald Trump is in presidency and he's doing what he's doing, I feel like other countries would look at this and think twice before just attacking America. You know what I'm saying? Because Venezuela is not about to attack America. You know what I mean? Their army is not as strong as our army is. You know what I mean? And you have to understand that at some point, you know, we have to be able to show some kind of strength, and this is what makes America America. This is what makes the United States the United States. Now, granted, do I think it's right for us to go into another country, bomb them for no reason? No. But I also don't think it's safe for us to just, you know, not, you know, go or deal with like problems with some kind of brute force. You know what I'm saying? I feel like America has always been the country that other countries always look to show strength. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like with a president like Trump don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Trump is gonna attack. He's not gonna back down from anything. So it could only be a good look for us as America. You know what I mean? Do I think a war is gonna start this way? Absolutely not. I don't think so. I don't believe so. You know what I mean? I believe that, you know, the Venezuela people, you know, they're happy of being free from this dictator. And I believe that if they're celebrating that, you know, even though, yes, Trump might be in it for the oil to make him and his people richer, we can only wait and see and hope that that's going to also benefit us in some way. I mean, if the gas prices start going down, that'd be great for us. You know, that'd be good for Americans. You know what I'm saying? I was speaking to somebody who actually joined my live like yesterday, and they was like, oh, you know, I was somewhere where the gas was like $2.70, and I was like, well, that's a start, you know, because the other gas when Biden wasn't president, you know, that shit was damn near $3 and up. So, you know, I've been seeing little changes in like gas prices. I've been seeing little changes in like food prices. Things are slowly starting to get better. You can kind of see it little by little. You know what I mean? Do I think Trump was right for what he did? No, but I also don't think I'm going to complain about what he did. I'm not going to be mad about what he did because the Venezuela people aren't mad. They're not angry about it, so why should I be mad about it? You know what I'm saying? If they're over there celebrating being free from their president, why should I be mad about him taking their president or kidnapping, whatever you want to call it? At the end of the day, they didn't want him in power anyway. You know what I'm saying? America was charging $50 million just for Maduro's capture. They wanted to get him out of there. The Venezuela people wanted to get him out of there. So, I mean, you can only be happy for them now that they don't have to deal with him no more. If we are going to be running Venezuela, you know, I would only wait and see what the president is going to do. You know, I don't think it could get any worse for them because we're not trying to run drugs through the country. We're not trying to run it by force or, you know, we're not going to condemn people for protesting. We're not going to, you know, arrest people. You know what I'm saying? He was literally murdering his own citizens for peaceful protesting. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I just feel like at the end of the day, people are mad at Trump at this point. I feel like people are just mad at Trump just to be mad at Trump. I feel like people want you to be mad at Trump. It's almost like a crime if you're not mad at Trump. It's almost like they want you to be upset with every little thing that he does. And if you're not, you're against, you know, you're just stupid or you're dumb or you're not educated. And at the end of the day, it's like you can't be mad at every single thing the president does. You're living in the United States and you're using the United States' resources. You're benefiting from everything the United States has to offer, but yet you're against the president's ideals. You're not agreeing with what the president does and his actions, and you're complaining about everything. It doesn't make sense. There are people right now in New York protesting the violence of Venezuela. There are people right now in Washington protesting the violence of Venezuela. There's people in front of the White House protesting what's going on in Venezuela. They want, you know, I don't think everybody completely understands. I think some people are actually protesting and they don't even know why they're protesting. Some people are actually out there protesting and not even aware of why they're protesting. They're just out there protesting because they feel like it's the right thing to do. They feel like, you know, Trump is, you know, a monster for what he's doing. You know, deportation and deporting, like, you know, families for no reason. You know, a lot of that shit I was against. I wasn't happy with Trump and ICE, you know, just deporting people, going into businesses, just taking families away from each other, mothers and sons and daughters away from each other. That whole thing I was totally against. I was totally not agreeing with. But this, I don't have no, I'm not going to sit here and complain about it because at the end of the day, it's like Venezuela don't, listen, if things was, if we was going through shit, Venezuela wouldn't give a fuck about us. Like, if we was getting, you know, if our president was being kidnapped or we was getting bombed, Venezuela wouldn't give a damn. You know what I'm saying? They wouldn't care. You know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like America need to worry about America and stop worrying about other countries and let you know, these people deal with what they're dealing with. The people of power and higher positions, the people in the government, you know, the president. You know, I'm pretty sure that whatever is going on in America that the president is doing, you know, it will, if it's really like a crime or if it's something that he's going to be impeached for, let them handle it. It'll happen eventually at some point, but there's nothing we can do about it. We can just see it and say it's wrong. Will it benefit us? I don't know. I would only hope so. I would hope the president knows what he's doing at this point. I would hope the president knows if this is going to benefit the American people or not. But so the let me see, the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Sunday that Israel supported the United States' strong action in Venezuela. So Israel supported the United States in Venezuela the day after American forces captured Maduro in a military operation. Regarding Venezuela, I wish to express the support of the entire government for the resolute decision and strong action of the United States to restore freedom and justice to that region of the world. So this is, let me see, this is the Prime Minister of Israel. He's saying that he's saying that he supported Donald Trump and what he was doing. And like I said, you know, I don't believe that other countries look at this as a sign of weakness. If anything, I feel like they would look at this as a sign of strength, you know? And when you're talking about gathering alliances with other countries, you have to understand that other countries do not like America, you know, like Other countries do not like America. There are other countries out there that hate us. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's better to be, I feel like it's better to be feared. You know what I'm saying? Than to be loved, to be honest with you. Because to be feared, you think twice before attacking us. To be feared, you think twice before trying to go against us. You know what I'm saying? Whereas if you're seen as like the soft, if you're seen as soft and you're seen as like this country that would just, you know, get walked all, you know, people walk all over you. You just, oh, you're a yes man to everything. You know, I feel like that's just gonna give them a reason to invade us. You know what I'm saying? You gotta understand that there's a country out there that has very strong firepower, and they're looking for a chance to invade and to bomb and to, you know, destroy America every chance they get. Whereas if they see us as a strong country, and if they see us as, you know, a powerful country where we're not gonna take no shit, they will think twice about doing that. So, do I think what Trump did was wrong? If, you know, as far as innocent people losing their lives, yes, that's wrong. You know, I'm never, you know, down for innocent people losing their lives. But at the same time, I don't feel like I should be complaining about it. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I feel like this can only strengthen America, and, you know, this can only make us stronger as a country. Is he after the oil? Obviously, that must be what he's after. But, you know, like I said, I just feel like this is something that, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I don't think that we should be complaining about this because, you know, at the end of the day, this is the president of the United States. We have 3 more years to deal with this, you know, and it's only going to be, you know, crazy if everything the president does, we're going to sit there and we're going to ramble and we're going to complain about it. You know what I mean? So, you know, hopefully he knows what he's doing. You know, hopefully America will see some benefits from going into Venezuela and taking resources. We can only hope, right? I can only hope that the president knows what he's doing and hope that what he's doing is good for America. But we will only see the effects of this as the time progresses. So, I don't want to hear nothing from the Democrats. I really don't. Because I feel like the Democrats are like, they're always like switching up things. And they're always complaining about something. You know what I'm saying? Whereas they're not doing any better. You know what I mean? Like, they're not doing any better. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can't like complain about what someone else is doing, but then when you have the opportunity, you're not making it any better for us either. So it's like, it just doesn't make sense to me with the rambling and complaining that they're doing. So, but we'll see what happens. We'll see. You know, right now, obviously, we are going to be, you know, handling stuff in Venezuela. So, like I said, you know, with the resources they have over there, we can only hope that that's going to benefit us in some way, somehow. Do I think the president knows what he's doing? I think that he has a team around him that is advising him and also telling him and giving him advice on what could be beneficial for us as a country. So we can only hope and see. You know, I'm not against everything that Trump does. I will say that. I'm against some things, but I'm not against everything. I'm not going to complain about everything the president does, just like I wasn't against everything that Biden did. Just like I'm not agreeing with everything that Obama did. Like there's your president is not always going to be perfect. Your president is not always going to do things that you want them to do. They're not always going to follow every single rule that they're not always going to make good on the promises that they said they were going to make when they were trying to be sworn into office. You know what I'm saying? Some things you're going to agree with, some things you're not going to agree with. This is one of those things where I'm on the fence where it's not that I agree with it, but I don't disagree with it either. I'm just like in between. Whereas I just want to see what can happen from the effects of this. That's it. That's all. So, all right. I'm going to close this up with that story. That's the end of the podcast for now. So we're going to close it up with that. And, you know, guys, once again, if there is anything that you want me to touch on, please let me know. You know, shoot me an email. You could send it to marlonnight80@gmail.com. You can also leave comments in the YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Hidden Token 1, or you can also follow me at Real Cool Boy 1 with 2 Y's. So that's the end of the podcast for now. Once again, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope you have an amazing weekend. You know what I'm saying? I feel like these days are just going by so fast, honestly. Like, the weekend is already Sunday. You know what I mean? Like, it's just flying. You know, so I'm going to try to get a few things done for the rest of the day. I hope everybody has a great day. I hope your day is blessed. You know, I hope you guys, you know, have a great beginning of the new year. Thank you for watching and supporting. Please like and subscribe this, as it'll also help the channel grow. Until next time, everybody, take care of yourself and be safe. Peace.